Hey everyone, before we dive into this story, please consider subscribing to my channel for more content like this. 3 days before my mother's 60th birthday party, I stepped into my parents' kitchen to deliver a gift, a rare first edition book I knew she'd cherish. What I walked into, however, felt like an ambush. My father stood there, arms folded tightly. My older brother, Kenneth, loomed nearby, his face radiating that familiar air of condescension. My mother sat at the table, visibly uneasy, but not objecting to the conversation about to unfold. "Emma, we need to talk about Saturday," my father said, his tone heavy. "Mom's party," I replied. "I'll be there around 7. Kenneth cut in sharply. "That's exactly what we're here to discuss, Emma. This is a big deal. Mom's country club friends, Dad's business contacts, senior partners from my firm. These are important people." I braced myself, sensing the direction this was headed. "We think it's better if you skip this one," my father said, trying to sound tactful but missing the mark. "You have to understand, these events are about appearances. Mom's friends gossip. They compare their kids' successes. And you, and me?" I asked softly. Kenneth didn't hold back. "You're 30, Emma. You live alone in a rented apartment, work from home doing who knows what with computers, drive a 2014 car, and dress like you're still in college. We can't have you at Mom's party. People will ask questions we don't want to answer." The words lingered, sharp and heavy. My mother stared at her hands. My father looked slightly guilty but didn't correct Kenneth. "I see," I said, keeping my voice steady. "So, I'm an embarrassment." "Don't make this dramatic," Kenneth snapped. "We're being realistic. This is a high society event. You don't belong in that world, and it's not fair to ask you to act like you do. It'd be awkward for everyone." I turned to my mother. "Mom, is this what you want?" She finally met my gaze. "Emma, I love you, but Kenneth's right. Mrs. Whitmore's daughter just became a partner at her law firm. The Johnson's son is a heart surgeon. What do I say when people ask about you? That you work from home on a computer?" "You could say I'm an entrepreneur," I offered. Kenneth laughed outright. "An entrepreneur, Emma? You've been figuring yourself out for 8 years. That's not a business. That's dodging a real job." I nodded slowly, absorbing how my family saw me. Then I placed the wrapped book on the counter and left without another word. What they didn't know, what they never bothered to ask, was what I'd been doing during those 8 years of figuring myself out. I'd founded a software company. It began modestly, just me and a talented developer I met at a tech conference. We built a data analytics platform for mid-sized businesses, bridging a gap between complex enterprise tools and simple spreadsheets. The first 2 years were grueling. 18-hour days, cheap noodle dinners, every cent poured back into the company. By year 3, we had 50 clients and started hiring. By year 5, we had 3 offices and Fortune 500 clients. By year 7, major tech firms were circling, eager to buy us out. I kept it quiet, partly because mixing family and business creates messy dynamics, and partly because I wanted to see how long my family would cling to their assumptions about my lack of ambition without asking a single real question about my work. Apparently, forever. The timing of their decision to exclude me was almost poetic. For the past 6 months, I'd been in intense negotiations with Tech Venture Global, a massive tech conglomerate. They wanted to acquire my company for $340 million. After months of due diligence, contract talks, and legal reviews, we were set to finalize the deal and announce it publicly on Friday, the day before my mother's party. I spent the 3 days after that kitchen confrontation working with my co-founder, Alex, and our lawyers to tie up loose ends. The acquisition would make me wealthier than I'd ever dreamed, with my equity stake yielding about $180 million after taxes. On Friday afternoon, we signed the papers in a sleek downtown conference room. Champagne flowed, hands were shaken. As the celebration quieted, Tech Ventures CEO, Margaret Reeves, pulled me aside. "Emma, what you've built is extraordinary," she said. "This platform will revolutionize how we serve mid-market clients. You should be incredibly proud." "Thank you, Margaret." "I am," I replied. She reminded me the press release would go live at 6 p.m., noting that major media outlets were ready to cover it. "Local entrepreneur sells company for $340 million. It's big news in this market," she said. I glanced at my watch. 6 p.m. would hit right during my mother's party, which started at 5:30. Perfect timing, I said. Margaret raised an eyebrow. Big plans tonight? My mother's birthday party, I replied. Though I wasn't invited. Her eyes widened. They didn't invite you to your own mother's party on the day you close a 9-figure deal? They don't know about the deal or the company, I said. They think I'm, quote, avoiding a real career. Margaret stared, then burst out laughing. Oh, Emma, I almost feel bad for them. Almost. I returned to my rental apartment, actually a penthouse condo I'd bought outright 3 years ago, but never mentioned to my family, and slipped into cozy clothes. I had no intention of crashing the party. I wasn't chasing dramatic showdowns or desperate to prove myself. They'd excluded me, and I was at peace with it. At 6:15, my phone rang. It was Alex. Emma, have you seen the news? It's everywhere. Local channels, business networks, your name and photo all over social media. I flipped on the TV. Sure enough, the local news led with it. Local tech entrepreneur sells company for $340 million, one of the state's largest acquisitions. My professional headshot from our company website filled the screen. The anchor detailed my background, the company's growth, and the deal's significance. They'd even sent a reporter to stand outside our downtown office. My phone buzzed with messages, colleagues, clients, tech community friends, all offering congratulations. Then a call came from an unfamiliar number. Miss Harrison, this is Jennifer Walsh from Channel 7 News. We're doing a special segment on your acquisition for our 10 o'clock business spotlight. Could we get an interview? I appreciate the interest, I said, but I'm not seeking media attention right now. I understand, but this is a huge story. You're 30, built a company from scratch, and just closed one of the state's biggest tech deals. People need to hear this kind of success story. Would you reconsider? I was about to say no when another call came through. My mother's number. Miss Walsh, can I call you back in 5? I switched to my mother's call. Chaos erupted in the background. Voices, a blaring TV, general commotion. Emma. Her voice was shaky. Is this true? What they're saying on the news? What are they saying, Mom? That you sold a company for hundreds of millions. They're showing your picture, calling you a tech visionary. Emma, what's going on? I could hear my father in the background. Let me talk to her. I sold my company today, I said plainly. The one I've been building for 8 years while you thought I was dodging a real job. The silence was deafening. Your guests, I said, piecing it together. They're seeing the news. They're watching the coverage. Everyone's watching, my mother whispered. We have the TV on in the living room. Someone recognized your photo. All my friends are here. Mrs. Whitmore, the Johnsons, Kenneth's senior partners. They're asking why you're not here, why we never mentioned your company. Mrs. Whitmore just asked me straight up why I didn't say you were more successful than her daughter. I heard Kenneth's voice, loud and defensive. We didn't know. How were we supposed to know? My fave. I grabbed the phone. Emma, you need to come to this party right now. You need to explain this to people. Explain what, Dad? That I'm not an embarrassment? That I have a real career? Maybe you should have asked about my life, instead of assuming you knew everything. This isn't fair, he said, his voice rising. You kept this from us on purpose. I didn't keep anything from you, I corrected. I told you I was an entrepreneur. I told you I ran a software company. You chose not to take it seriously. You decided I was aimless and unsuccessful. That's on you. Kenneth snatched the phone. Emma, get over here now. Do you know how this looks? Everyone's asking where you are, why you weren't invited to your own mother's party. I wasn't invited because you said I'd ruin it, I reminded him. You called me an embarrassment who didn't fit with prominent people. Your words, Kenneth. The silence confirmed he knew I was right. Things are different now, he said finally. That was before we knew. Before you knew I was rich, I finished. So I'm acceptable now that I have money. That's your stance. I heard my mother crying in the background. Part of me felt a pang of guilt, but a bigger part knew they created this mess. I'm not coming, I said firmly. You made it clear I wasn't welcome. That doesn't change just because new information shifts your social equation. Emma, please, my mother said, taking the phone. We made a mistake. Come here. Let me introduce you properly. Let people see. Let them see what, Mom? Your successful daughter you're suddenly proud of now that she's valuable to your social status? That's not fair, she said, her voice trembling. But we both knew it was true. In the background, I heard Mrs. Whitmore's voice, loud and clear. Carol, I don't get it. Your daughter just sold a company for $340 million, and she's not even here. What kind of family is this? The irony was sharp. Their attempt to protect their social image by excluding me was now unraveling because of that very exclusion. I have to go, I told my mother. I have interview requests to handle. Enjoy your party. I hung up and blocked their numbers. I'd deal with the family drama later. For now, I had real business to attend to. I called Jennifer Walsh back and agreed to the interview. By 9 p.m., I was in a studio discussing entrepreneurship, the tech industry, and the value of perseverance. The interviewer didn't bring up my family, and neither did I. The 10 o'clock news segment was thorough and glowing, highlighting my company's growth, our platform's innovation, and my leadership through the acquisition. Margaret, Tech Ventures CEO, gave a statement calling me one of the most talented entrepreneurs I've worked with. My phone kept buzzing, messages from extended family, old classmates, even high school acquaintances, all suddenly eager to reconnect. I ignored most of them. The only message I answered was from my college roommate, Sarah, just saw the news. So proud of you, not remotely surprised. You've always been brilliant, and now the world sees it. Bet your family's freaking out. I replied, you're not wrong. I'll call you tomorrow. The fallout played out predictably over the next few days. My mother's party descended into chaos, with guests congratulating my parents on my success while side-eyeing them for my absence. Social media posts from attendees showed my professional photo on the TV screen, an awkward backdrop to a party I wasn't at. Kenneth called from a new number on Sunday. I let it go to voicemail. His message was pure deflection. Emma, we need to discuss how you handled this. You could have warned us about the announcement. We looked like idiots in front of everyone. You owe us an explanation and an apology for embarrassing us. The nerve was almost admirable. My mother took a different tack, asking my Aunt Linda, who'd always been kind to me, to reach out. I took Linda's call. Emma, your mom's a wreck, she said. She hasn't stopped crying since Saturday. I'm sorry she's upset, I said sincerely. But Aunt Linda, they uninvited me from her party. They called me an embarrassment, said I'd ruin it. What was I supposed to do? You could have told them about your success, Linda said gently. Given them a chance to see the real you. I've been building this company for 8 years, I replied. They never asked a single meaningful question about my work. They assumed I was lost and unsuccessful and treated me like it. That's not my job to fix. Linda paused. You're right, she said finally. They made assumptions. They were wrong. But Emma, they're still your family. Is this how you want things to end? I don't want it to end any specific way, I said honestly. I want them to see they excluded me based on wrong assumptions about my value. I want them to realize their love shouldn't depend on my bank account. And I want a real apology, not because I'm rich and useful now, but because they hurt me by dismissing who I was before the money. That's fair, Linda said. Can I share this with your mom? If you think it'll help. 2 weeks later, my mother called from Linda's phone. I answered. Emma, she said, her voice raw. I've been thinking a lot. Linda told me what you said, and she's right. I was wrong. I waited. I assumed things about your life because it didn't match my idea of success, she continued. You didn't have a fancy job title, didn't talk about raises or promotions, didn't flaunt your achievements. So I assumed there weren't any. I was so caught up in what I could boast about to my friends that I never asked about your life, what you were building, what you were proud of, what challenges you faced. I was a terrible mother. Her honesty caught me off guard. She admitted they'd taught Kenneth the wrong values and that he owed me an apology. She said Dad was struggling but trying. I told her I built my company out of passion, not to prove myself, and it stung that they only valued me once money entered the picture. Kenneth later sent a curt apology, which I accepted but kept my distance. Months later, my father admitted he was wrong and asked if I was happy. For the first time, I could say I truly was. We started rebuilding our relationship, grounded in respect, not old patterns. After the acquisition, I moved on to mentoring other entrepreneurs. I realized my worth was never tied to family approval, media buzz, or wealth. I was successful because I built something meaningful on my own terms. The rest was just noise.